in the Palais des Sports, Dick Button of the United States, fresh from his figure skating triumphs in the Winter Olympics, takes to the ice in pursuit of still another honor. The whirling, leaping wizard of the skates is after the World Figure Skating Championship, which he's already won 4 times. Spectacular, dizzying finish, the Harvard senior wins the first place vote of all the 7 judges, skating to his 5th World Figure Skating Championship.
It was very interesting always going to a championship with you because all of your Lussi pupils would come in together as a team, in a sense, and they'd win 90% of the titles in the championship. Of course, there were other teachers, but I don't think they had the same spirit or the same enthusiasm.
Is this where you got that, right there?
Gustav and Thelma Lussi share a good life at their winter home in Florida. Lussi, at 90 years of age, is slowed by a surgically fused hip, the result of his own experimentation with spinning. But it never surprises Dick Button to find his former teacher vigorously pursuing new projects. It was Lussi's creative energy that fueled more than 6 decades of pioneering work with world-class figure skaters.
Gustave Lussi became a personality in the sport of figure skating over a period of 40 to 50 years because he produced champion after champion after champion.
There's not a single flying set spin around today in the world. Do you realize nobody knows how to teach the damn thing?
Not a good one.
No. The only one, the Japanese got it, a fairly good one.
Yes, I saw one at the Olympics.
Teacher and student talking about their life's work. Lussi's devotion to figure skating and Button's work as an ABC sports commentator inevitably turns their conversation to the state of the sport today.
Nobody can do a sit spin. Very few. Dorothy Hamill, who is, 13 years out of being an Olympic champion, does a better sit spin today than 99% of the others.
Gus Lussi taught me how to skate. He taught me how to jump, and he taught me how to spin. I was about 10 when I first laid eyes on Gus Lussi, and it was the next summer I convinced my parents that I wanted to take from Gus Lussi. I remember my mother still has letters, postcards that I used to write to her. Can I please take lessons from Mr. Lussi? Can I please take lessons from Mr. Lussi? He played such an incredible role in that young life of mine. I mean, he loved skating. He loved teaching skating. I remember him better than any school teacher I ever had. He re-taught me how to spin, and he re-taught me how to jump, axels and double flips and double lutzes. The technique and all the things that I'm famous for, you know, delayed axel and Hamill camel and all of that, that was all Gus. You know, I believed in him, and I believed that he was the person that could make me be what I wanted to be. It could make me skate the way I wanted to skate.
The Lussi archives are filled with sentiments from generations of skaters to a coach who inspired them to excellence and made them be what they wanted to be.
All my children I could put into a stadium. I don't know whether the stadium would be big enough to hold them all, the ones I've taught in my life. That's true. I bet. It's a refreshing feeling to have, to see them all still coming back and still smiling.
Gustav Lussi began his sporting life as a ski jumper in his native Switzerland. Then a jumping accident and a fractured skull turned his attention to a sport closer to the ground. Lussi took his first job as a skating coach in the United States in 1920, and within 8 years produced his first champion.
And I made a vow then, I remember very well, if I can't be a champion myself, I shall make him. And I made him.
Lussi coached at skating clubs throughout the United States and Canada, but he was captivated by a small mountain village that reminded him of Switzerland. Lake Placid, New York, became Lussi's home.
I welcome you, the representatives of many of our sister nations, to this, the opening of the 3rd Winter Olympic Games.
Lake Placid hosted America's first Winter Olympics in 1932. Spectators crowded the village and watched the first Olympic skating events held in an indoor arena. From that time on, Lake Placid and Gustave Lussi were linked to the training of champions. Over the next half-century, Lussi produced scores of national, world, and Olympic titles. The world's best-known skaters turned to Lussi for the artistry, innovation, and analysis of body mechanics that established his reputation as the master of jumping and spinning.
Gustave Lussi is one of America's outstanding professional instructors and has developed many skating stars. His attractive pupil at the moment is Eileen Fay, National Ladies Junior Champion, a real star on ice.
Gus moved free skating from the old-fashioned way of skating, you know, with all the... Well, he really had them rewriting the rule book in his time, because when we were skating, the rule book said you cannot raise your arms above your waistline. Well, that was ridiculous. You couldn't possibly do these jumps and these beautiful ballet movements and things that he was having us do with your hands down by your waistline. So they had to start rewriting all these rules, and I'm sure it was Gus Lussi who created that.
He invented many things, the fly Sitzman, the fly Hamill, and he brought in the triple jump that before. And it definitely was a turning point from what skating was before the war, 1936-37, what it came in 1946-47 when the pupil of Gus Lussi, and especially Dick Button, came to Europe. It was really a different kind of skating.
Richard Button of Philadelphia, who is North American and U.S. men's figure skating champ, was runner-up in the 1947 World Championships and will represent us at Samoritz, Switzerland in 48, when the Olympic contestants gather from all parts of the world to compete for titles in the various classes. Then, for frozen fluidity, we have Eileen Fay, a graceful mistress of the blade. With all the practiced artistry of a ballet dancer, this charming figure skater weaves her way through the intricate movements of a thrilling tryout.
We went as the first U.S. team after the war. So that was, you know, an eye-opener to the Europeans as to this new wave of American free skating. And then you look back later nostalgically and think, oh, that was such a great period of my life. But I don't think we knew that, and we didn't know that we were a part of a revolution that was going on in figure skating at that time. We were going from the old-fashioned into this new, beautiful free skating that we experience today. And we were the people who were bridging that gap.
2 Lussi students carried off the gold and the figure skating laurels in 1948. Canadian Barbara Ann Scott and U.S. champion Dick Button ended the European domination of the sport. Button emerged as the symbol of the new American school of skating. His acrobatic, refined style reflected the Lussi definition of skating: grace and power in fluid motion.
Dick Button had a jump of 20 foot. We used to measure the jumps in that time and see how far we could jump. And no one ever accomplished that, the distance.
My definition of a great skater has always been someone who not only reaches the top, but who's someone who changes the fine art of figure skating and makes it better and different just because they were in it. And that's, I mean, certainly he did that as a teacher. And if that's the definition of great, you have to define him as a great teacher. I mean, that's clear.
The Lussi influence extended to the artistry of performance and is responsible in part for our enjoyment of freestyle programs today. Lussi was the first coach to design interpretive programs choreographed to music.
Our programs were different from all the others because he had this artistry and he had this great feeling for music. And he would have me running on my toes and doing little stops and little things that the other girls didn't do. It would set you apart. And he had a definite trademark. Like you put on Mozart, you recognize Mozart. You know Brahms, Beethoven. They all have their own way of writing music. Gus had his own way of putting a program together, and they were the best.
Mr. Lussi was the first coach who took all of the elements available to a figure skater and put them together. The elements of music, the elements of artistry, the elements of interpretation, and the elements of the technical aspects of figure skating, and put them all together. And we followed in those footsteps.
Canadian brother and sister team Otto and Maria Jelinek seemed to Lussi the perfect pair to introduce his brand of aesthetic interpretation to pairs skating.
A boy and the girl come on out, they sing to each other beautifully. They embrace each other, they keep on singing, separated. This is what I want to do in skating. I want two individual skaters to answer each other with music. And they had the Jelineks do that for quite a while. Perfectly beautiful. The only thing was this, that Maria said to me, I can't make love to Otto. That was the only handicap I had.
Otto and Maria did revolutionize pairs competition with their energetic athleticism.
Mr. Lussi said you can't be a successful pair skater if you can't skate on your own. You've got to be able to be a good single skater in order to be a successful pair skater, because you can't just do the lifts or hold on to each other. You've got to be able to do the individual jumps and spins. And that's another element that Mr. Lussi brought to pair skating.
Because we spent so much time on our single skating, we became very strong in jumps and spins, and we could incorporate that into our pair skating program, and therefore we had a lot better content because we had so many more double jumps and better spins than our competitors. And as a matter of fact, in 1962, when we won the Worlds, we had every double jump in the book, and even a double axel, which, I mean, no pair skater tried.
Ronnie Robertson's turn, and it is truly a turn, promising thrills of its own. A holder of 3 pro records, he spins into a climax that reaches 240 turns a minute.
I think Gus Lussi's revolutionary ideas on spinning made my career. And of course I credit all the ability to spin that fast to being taught scientifically by Gus Lussi. And I don't think at any point there hadn't been a teacher that had actually taught a theory about spinning.
Lussi's pioneering work in the physics of spinning gave Robertson a place in skating history. And Robertson gave Lussi the combination of talents to test his theories of spinning.
I know what I had. I had a jewel in my hands because I could see that he could become a great spinner. Naturally, the less friction you have from your blade, the longer you can spin. I took his toe pick down to next to nothing, that he was gliding more. When he finished his good spin, it was just like a pie plate, leg on the ice. It was that good.
He taught me to spin up on the very front, just behind the toe pick, which was 1/8 of an inch by 1/4 of an inch, which becomes as close to a vertical point as possible, meaning that I am going to travel the shortest distance and therefore be able to do it in the quickest amount of time. I studied with him for 3 years. They were the last 3 years of my amateur career, through 2 world championships and the Olympics in 1956. It was the most marvelous time for me in my amateur career.
Robertson perfected another Lussi innovation during his amateur career. The piston roll became a Robertson trademark. Together, Lussi and his students developed most of the breathtaking maneuvers we expect to see in freestyle competition. Hayes Allen Jenkins excelled in the Lussi flying sit-spin. Dick Button invented the flying camel. Lussi taught Dorothy Hamill the now famous Hamill camel. From triple loops to double axles, every Lussi invention connects great skaters of all generations.
The really good jumps are achieved only by following the principles that he taught. Whether or not that person took from him or not, it doesn't matter. The principle comes through.
Double axel.
opening up the flow out just as fast as the entrance to the jump. Very difficult to do.
So in all skating, the rotation must be the same way. Can't spin one way and jump the other way. John Curry came to me and he could not get the triple jumps or double jumps. And when I said, you got to change your spins before it will assist you in jumping, you're not going to get anywhere the way you are.
John Curry and his contemporaries, who came to Lussi to improve their jumps and spins, discovered that Lussi would often disassemble everything they had been taught. But they found Lussi's method worked to give them the elevation, control, and beauty that are the mark of a Lussi skater.
Technically, there isn't a better teacher, I don't think. I mean, if you look back at all the history of great skaters, Dick Button and John Petkevich and Gordy McKellen and, of course, Tyler Cranston and John Curry, they all technically were perfect.
Mr. Lussi's contribution to the skating world, from my point of view, was that he had so many top skaters and taught so many of them, and that they're all over the skating world now. So really, his contribution is everywhere in the skating world.
There was a man called Gustav Lussi who taught, you know him because I've spoken to about him many times, and I think he was a pioneer of, well, double jumps like the double axel and triple sack, triple loop jump he had Ronnie Robertson do, and he was one of the very first. And he said that a jump was really just a spin in the air. So he spent, I remember, 45 minutes to an hour sometimes on spins.
Canadian Don Jackson studied with Lussi after he became world champion in 1962.
A beautiful triple nut.
Here he is 11 years later in the 1974 World Professional Competition.
And once again, he is opening his program with a highly unusual jump, a 1-foot split axel, an extraordinarily difficult jump because it lands on a very delicate back inside edge. Here it is. Watch now. First the revolution and the split. He hasn't lost his touch. He has not only not lost his touch, he is one of the few skaters that I've ever seen who has been able to retain everything he had before. Look at that flying sit spin.
Can I try to demonstrate this killer sit spin?
Today, Jackson is passing Lussi techniques on to his students.
He was really the pioneer of skating, and that came from just realizing that a good spin on the ice taught you that very delicate balance so that you could do the rotation in the air. Of course, you have to have people that have some natural ability to get up off the ice and get a good lift, and he had some of the good skaters doing that. In fact, many of his skaters, I'd go to Lake Placid and see many of his skaters on the ice, and you could say that's a Gus Lussi student, there's another Gus Lussi student, another one over there, because they were the ones that could spin. In fact, they were the only ones that really could spin.
I think Gustave Lussi is a unique person in the field, and he has had probably more influence than any other single person, certainly any other single teacher. And in that sense, he has been a classic figure in the history of skating that we know of for the last, 60, 75 years. He was teaching well into his 80s, and even now he's still occasionally teaching.
Lussi still gives lessons on request. Even at 90, he maintains his record. No summer has passed without his appearance at the Lussi Arena in Lake Placid for a lesson with an aspiring champion. His student on this day is Tracy Damigella. Already an international competitor, she has mastered double and triple jumps. But since Tracy has not previously studied with Lussi, he takes her back to the basics and rigors of the Lussi method.
Didn't know quite what to do there to the last second. Then he... Why'd you do that? Trust
I've never tried that one.
Jeez. Was it easier? Was it
No, it was easier.
Honestly.
It's just an unusual feeling,
We're gonna be Columbus here, aren't we? We're gonna discover America.
Yes.
I think that being a great teacher is one of the highest accolades that you can give to anybody.
Do me 4 steps out of that spin. I'm not gonna give up.
A wonderfully enthusiastic, great teacher.
1, 2, congratulations. God, you made a job, didn't you? I want to do everything like that, no matter what happens. I don't want just half a cake. I want the whole cake. Now, let's look at the ballerina, shall we? Right, now put the foot behind you with your knee bent. Now, where is your leg now?
Oh, I see.
Now, where do you have your leg when you come out of your jump?
Right here. So it should be back.
It has to be back on that hold that a slow let out of the foot. I want you to make a jump now to reserve your foot and then push it toward where you want to go, not around the circle.
I think he was probably the first important teacher to think things through and to understand where the body should be and how it should be.
So he was able to teach the different component of the jump. But mainly what I remember, Gus, mainly more than that, I really remember that he was a great inspirator. I mean, he really make his skater skate. This is one thing I hope I learned from him, was to give confidence and to give a lot of inspiration to the skater.
Swing it. Good. Great. That's free skating.
He engendered a tremendous desire in us. And when he would say, just before you went out to free skate, go out and show them how good you are. Well, that's exactly what you did. And he had you so well prepared. There was never any hit or miss with Gus. Everything, every step, every nuance, every arm movement, everything was set.
One. Now, why do you kick the foot behind there? Why did I want that progressively stepping.
Okay. So keep it in front.
Try it.
Okay.
Very slowly. One. No. Overstep it. No step. That's what I want to do.
Still, there's not a day that goes by when I go into a double flip or double lutz that I'm not counting. You know, he would have you count. The timing was so important. And I'll count. You know, people will see me talking to myself out there. And it's just, it's in there.
But those hands must be furious. Oh, much quicker.
Yep, delayed axle. 1, 2. Still there. Head on the sit spin is still there. That's amazing.
You're not going right into your counter spin. I want you to pick up your left knee and plunk your knee onto your heel of your skate. I want you to drive the toe into that D-mice to hold yourself faster. I want that fifth spin much faster. Hands up. Right on your spike. Don't think that you take your body against the bar and just smash in there. Lift that way now. Don't bend forward at all. Just hold it back. And I dare you to. Go ahead.
Gus is a very gutsy. He wanted everybody to have guts. He didn't want a namby-pamby, you know, skater. He wanted you to go and do it with a purpose and to do it the best that you could every time you did it. And he never wanted to settle for anything but perfect.
His teaching was so interesting that there were always, if he would allow it, there would always be crowds of people around when you were taking a lesson.
Now head back, now head back, head back, head back, head back. Come on, come on, come on. Good. First one.
First one.
You get much more power after a while.
I can feel that.
I felt I was the only pupil that Mr. Lussi had, and he had an overfull roster of students when I was working with him. And yet, I think each one of us felt that we were the only ones. Now, how he was able to spread himself like that, I think it was because he was so dedicated. He loved it so much, and he loved his students so much. It wasn't just on the ice. He used to take us fishing. He would take us home and feed us.
Winter Wonderland in the Adirondacks near Lake Placid, New York. Our location is called Little Alps, the picturesque chalet of Gus Lussi, the world-famous coach and developer of champions on ice. A group of his youthful blade champions are headed for the frozen pond. These boys and girls usually practice and perform indoors at the Olympic Arena at Lake Placid Village. But today they're out for frolic and figures.
His enthusiasm is what makes him tick. And that enthusiasm rubs off on everybody who's around him. It rubbed off on us as young skaters. He was more enthusiastic than we were, and we were enthusiastic.
he was always teaching us things. We'd all go fishing, and he would show us how to trout fish. Go and chop a tree down and show us how he did that. And have a pulley across the lake. We would hold on to the pulley and slide across the water. I mean, it wasn't only on the ice, it was also off the ice. So I guess when you look at it, he taught us a lot of things, not only on the ice. And that's why I think he's such a, like I say, we looked up to him as a god, a big man.
I always thank him for making my life. He was such an important part of my development. And I just think that the way he loved us and the way we loved him and the things he taught us about becoming people. Because, you know, you're a person a long time after you're a skating champion. And I just thank Gus for helping me become a person. And I think he did that.
It's a long history behind it. A very interesting one. Yeah, it makes me cry when I see things like that. It's a beautiful memory.